Hello, good evening, my good people. Today we are going to talk about another amazing topic. And I know most of us have been asking themselves, like, what is the difference between these two? So today we are going to talk about the difference between learning a language and learning about a language. This is very important. So today's show is going to change how you actually measure progress as an educator and as well as a parent, because it is a lot of like a lot of us are quietly asking the wrong question instead of what does my child know. We should be asking what can my child do. So we ask ourselves, what does my child know? But the right question that we should be asking ourselves is that what can my child do? So are you ready to dive into this amazing discussion? Because I know a lot of us have questions around it. Now, parents, before we start, type in the chat section, does your child recite Swahili words on request, or maybe use the Swahili naturally in a conversation, or it's both? Type in the comment section whether they recite these Swahili words on request, or maybe they use Swahili naturally in a conversation. Yeah. Or they actually do both. So let's dive into this discussion, and I want us to look into this like as I said earlier. Don't just ask what does my child know? Ask what can my child do? A child who can navigate real moments, asking, telling jokes, and negotiating in Swahili is progressing in a way that actually matters. Even if their textbook knowledge, looks incomplete, structured, learning has its own place. But functional use is the real destination. So let us dive into this discussion all together. Did you know that learning about means knowing facts? Learning about means knowing facts. And learning means actually using it, not just reciting it. So parents, I want us to shift our mindset today and know that knowing grammar rules or vocabulary list is knowledge. Knowing, the grammar rules or the vocabulary, it is just or the vocabulary list. This is just knowledge. Uh-huh. But deploying that knowledge spontaneously to communicate is a skill, and those are not the same thing. So let us know that they are different things. So knowing the rules and actually using it, those are two different things. Look at this example. A child who can list, moja, mbili, tatu, that is one, two, three, on request is actually showing knowledge. But we have a child who says nataka peremende mbili. I want two sweets, unprompted. Is actually showing skills. So let us actually know the difference. That knowing vocabulary lists and actually knowing the grammar, the great thing here is actually using them spontaneously without being prompted. Yeah. So parents, comment on this and in the comment section and tell us: does your child recite Swahili facts and use them in real moments, or it's actually both? Do they recite only and leave it there, or they actually use them in real moments? Remember, we will be looking at your comment on the comment section as we continue having this discussion. Uh-huh. Now look at this. Did you know that memorization can actually look very impressive but not transfer? Uh-huh. Like Memorization look impressive but not transfer. Uh-huh. Reciting something perfectly doesn't always mean that a child is actually, can apply it in a flexible way, in any brand new situation. Did you know that? So now let us look at this. A child who can perfectly sing the number song may still freeze when you ask them, Ngapi, how many? While pointing at real objects. So memorization can actually look very, very impressive. But can he or she transfer that, you know, into communication? So parents who are in this live stream, can we practice? If your child is seated next to you, maybe point at something, ask them, Ningapi, how many are those? And let's see whether they are able to transfer, whether they are able to say it in Swahili. Uh-huh. Let us look at another point where functional language often looks messier than, memorized language. Why am I saying this? Real conversation involves hesitation. Mhm. Real conversation involves hesitation, uh, mixing, and, using a little bit of imperfect grammar. But it's actually more valuable than what we call the polished recitation. Yeah, that real communication involves a little bit of hesitation, mixing kidogo, and imperfect grammar, which actually is more valuable than actually the polished recitation that a child can. Let us look at this example. Now, a child is, stumbling, yeah, through nataka kitu hiyo. I want that thing while pointing to the thing that they want. Huh? That is doing what you call the real communicative work. Even though it sounds, less clean, but we can see that they are able to point out. Okay, so children who are also in this live stream, can you try, asking for something in the room right now, even if it comes out messy, just go with it. That's exactly what we want to see. That is exactly what we see, your progress. Yeah. Uh-huh. Another important point that I want us to discuss about is that grammar rules are often absorbed. The grammar rules are always absorbed before they can actually be explained. Yeah, they are absorbed in before we can actually explain. Kids frequently use correct grammar rules naturally before they can ever describe the rule behind it, and that's actually the healthier order of learning a language. Uh-huh. Let us look at this example. A child correctly saying nataka, I want, versus unataka, you want, without even, being taught, the pronoun rule, except, without actually being taught the pronoun rules. Uh-huh. So, kids in the room, can we try and say I want and you want in Swahili? Okay, how do we say it? Mm-hmm. Did you say it correctly? Like, ni nataka na unataka. Did you say it correctly? Okay, if you did well, bravo, bravo, bravo. Okay, something else that I want us to look at is that knowing about culture. Knowing about culture is different from living it through the language. Knowing about culture is, different from living through the language. Learning facts about Swahili culture is actually very, very valuable. But using the language within the cultural moment is actually what makes it feel truly, alive. Mhm. So, you know, knowing, karibu means welcome. Welcome is, karibu means welcome. This is actually knowledge because you know this. But using that language within the cultural moment is what, is going to make, this actually feel more alive. Yeah. So let's practice this. If there are kids in this live stream, let us look into this and assume that a guest came knocking at your door. Hodi hodi. What are you going to say to them in order to welcome them into the house in Swahili? Je, utasema vipi? You can type on the comment section. You can comment on the section while you tell us what you would say. Okay. Okay, great. Let's continue with our today's discussion. And testing vocabulary in isolation can create false impression. Why am I saying this? Uh-huh. A child actually might fail in, a vocabulary quiz, but function well conversationally. Do you see this? That they may fail in a vocabulary quiz, but function well conversationally, or pass a quiz, but actually struggle to actually communicate. Did you see that? So a child who can't recall kiatu, which is shoes, when asked directly might say, va hiyo, wear that, while pointing at their shoe. You see, functionally succeeding without, the isolated word. That is what I wanted to point out. That, a child might fail in vocabulary but function well conversationally. Pass in a quiz, but also struggle to communicate. Those things do happen. So, parents who are here in this live, I have a question for you. Has your child ever surprised you by, communicating something well, even without knowing the exact word for it? Has that ever happened to you? Tell us, what did you do? Or when was that scenario? Yeah? So, let us proceed. You know, another thing that I want to point out is that the immersive play, they often build functional skills faster than a drill. I don't know whether you have ever tested this at your home or with your kids. That the real life playful context force language into an action in a way that the structured drill alone, don't require. There are child who struggles with structured flashcard vocabulary, often thrives during a pretend play because the play demands real. Yeah? They actually demand what we call real in moment language use, not something that is drilled, that it is forced for them to actually do. Mhm. Okay, so we also have something else that I want. Sorry about that. So parents often overrule what's easier to measure. That is something I have come to realize. That vocabulary lists and grammar quizzes are easy to test and feel reassuring. Yeah, that is true. That these vocabulary quizzes, the vocabulary list that we usually have, and the grammar quizzes are very easy to test. And parents usually feel very reassuring that, oh, they are doing well in this quiz and they are doing well in memorizing their vocabulary list. But they can't always be these two things can't always be the best predictor of real communication ability. That is something I want us to understand. But yeah, of course they are doing well, memorizing their vocabulary list and actually passing the grammar quizzes. But I mean, these two, they are good. I'm not saying that they are bad, they are good, but do they really always you know um do they really always be the best predictors of real communication ability to a child? No, they are not. So a parent might worry a child doesn't know many words on paper, while at the same time, the child actually navigates full conversation at home with ease. Look at that difference. Yeah. So I have a question for the parents watching. Has a quiz or word list ever made you worry more than your child actually do? More than more than your child's actual day-to-day Swahili use? Has it ever made you worry and start thinking like, oh, what am I supposed to do now? How is it going to be? Has it ever made you worry? Yeah. This is the most important part or the most important section or point that I want us to look into very well. That the end goal should be usable language, not textbook knowledge. No, the end goal that we always look at when we are teaching a language or when learners are learning a language is, you know, the language use, because that is what we usually want to see at the end, not the textbook knowledge. You know, the real measure of success is whether a child can get their needs met. Whether they can get their needs met, whether they can express themselves and connect with others, not how many facts about the language they can actually recite. So let us have that in mind, that the real end goal here is them being confident enough, being fluent enough to use this language in having, real conversation, expressing themselves and actually connecting with other people. Do you know that a child confidently, can confidently, negotiate, confidently negotiating with other siblings over a toy in Swahili is a stronger sign of fluency than perfect written vocabulary test. Did you actually know that? That one is the goal. Than him or her doing well in sorry, but he or her doing well in a vocabulary test. Yeah. Parents, tell us in the comment section, what do you feel measures success here when it comes to your child learning a language? Is it them being, having the knowledge and knowing the vocabulary, the vocabulary list, or the usage? Which one do you think measures success to you? Okay. Uh-huh. So let's continue. Um, did you know that the passive knowledge doesn't guarantee active production? Yeah, passive knowledge does not guarantee active production. This is, recognizing a word when you hear it, different from producing it yourself, unprompted in a conversation, and recognizing usually comes first. That a child who understands funga mlango, which is close the door, instantly but wouldn't spontaneously say it to themselves, yet you know recognize it, is ahead of production, and that is completely normal. Uh-huh. That a child who actually understand funga mlango, which means close the door, instantly but wouldn't actually spontaneously say it themselves, say it themselves, yet they record, recognition is actually ahead of production, and it's completely normal. It will take time before they actually be in a position of, spontaneously saying it themselves, but again, remember, they have recognized it. So that is completely normal. So kids are watching here, if I say funga mlango right now, would you show me what that means? Or could actually not show me, would you show mama or papa what that means? Or you are going to be a little bit hesitant to do what that means? Uh-huh. Something else that I want us to talk about is that real life interaction are the best for test of functional use of a language. Mhm. That's true. That the real life interaction are definitely or always the best for functional use of a language. Do you know that the true functional fluency shows up in real moments? It does not show up in quizzes. No, it shows up in real moments. So this is where we get to see how are they using this language that they have learned. Yeah? So successfully ordering ndizi mbili tafadhali, which is two bananas please from a market vendor is a strong fluency signal than, essaying a vocabulary work or worksheet. And that is what we keep on saying from when we began this live stream, you know, that this real life interaction are always the best for functional use of a language. And we say that if your child actually orders, using Swahili, that is a stronger fluency signal that, yeah, they are becoming fluent rather than them passing a vocabulary test worksheet. Uh-huh. So, parents who are watching in this live stream, has your child ever used Swahili successfully out in real world? Uh-huh. Maybe that was in a shop, maybe when they are having a conversation with a relative or anywhere. Uh-huh. Has it ever happened? How did you feel? Did you see that they are really now doing well and now using the words that they have been learning properly? Uh-huh. Again, do you know that creating original sentences ensures real conversation, not just memory? That retelling a story in their own words. This is great. You remember yesterday? What were we talking about? Yesterday we had a topic where we were discussing. Oh, let me try to remember. But it was around. Oh yeah, I have remembered. You uh, using those routine that you already have to fix Swahili inside. And we were talking about, during the movie time that you have, sometimes changing the subtitles to be Swahili so that at least they can be watching and hearing in English, but the subtitles is literally written in Swahili. And then we said that sometimes, pause, ask them what is happening or what they have actually understood or actually what is going to happen because they are trying to predict. Yeah. So, I mean, this point, we want them to retell that story that they have heard using their own words rather than reciting, some of the vocabularies that have been used there. You know, that one shows language is truly theirs. That shows that, that is, like they are retelling it using their own words. That shows originality. Yeah. So let us look at this example. A child retelling a Tayari story with their own invented details. For example, today we had a story which was titled "Patience is for Waiting." Ambayo subira ni ya kusubiri. Uh-huh. It shows they are generating language. It shows that they are actually generating language, not just repeating it. Yeah. So those who are able, children who are able to watch my showtime, I think maybe 2 hours ago, could you try and retell it using your own words so that we can see whether you have, a real command of language. Maybe you can tell it to your brother or sister, that one who was not able to watch the live because that story was really, really amazing. Where we were talking about Mia and Sheldon, where Mia had to learn a very useful lesson in life that indeed patience is for waiting. Yani subira ni ya kusubiri. Yeah, and where I urged children to try and have patience in their life because it's the best gift they can give themselves. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So let us continue with our discussion. But again, I want parents to write in the comment section what you are battling raising bilingual kids, and we will discuss about this, and maybe who knows, might be my next topic that we are going to talk about in my next stream. So do not be afraid to ask, and again remember we have a beautiful app that we have already that we have out there, and above here is the QR code. Scan the QR code, go there, look at the amazing features that we have there, and I know they are going to be very useful in teaching your child Swahili. Yeah, and if you have problems with signing in, you can reach out to us, and we'll be very happy to guide you through using the app. Okay. The app has, I think, five amazing sections. It has the lesson section, it has Simba Anasema, which we all know, most, not all, but most of us know it as Simon Says. And then after that, we have, what was it? Yeah, we have Mchezo, yeah, an online activity where the kids will have to play that activity and actually, yeah, play that activity. And then we also have, yeah, songs, nyimbo na densi. And then lastly, we have the AI grammar. Yani jibu nyanya. And this is the amazing, amazing section that I know a lot of us are going to love because they are going to have real conversation with nyanya because you are able to use the mic to talk, and nyanya is going to listen to you and actually answer you as you move. Yeah. And remember, when you complete every task, you get to earn stars. And do you know that you can redeem those stars for a book? And at Tayari.live, we have amazing books that are helping us, learn real life lessons. Others are, helping us to um, keep us busy, to, keep our children busy. Yeah. So please scan the QR code because it is really, really amazing, and we'll be happy to be there to see you in every, in every, step that you make, and will also be helping you. Okay, let's continue with our discussion. Uh-huh. Do you know that kids, like adults who know a language from class, did you know that we have adults, who know, who knows, a language from class, but I mean, still they will freeze in real life. Do you know that it happens sometimes? I mean, you may know that a language from class, but you freeze in real time. Mm. Now, here is a relatable one from, you know, for the parents. Many adults study a language in school and can, conjugate verbs perfectly, but panic trying to order food abroad. Did you know that? Yeah. That they can go to class, be in a position of learning this specific language, but it will become hard for them to order food. And that is exactly the gap we want to avoid for our kids. Mhm. Yeah, like an adult who aced years of grammar exams in a language class but stands for them trying to order food or coffee abroad. Years of, learning this language, but they have not had, the functional practice. So parents, let us urge our kids, or let us try to show, or yeah, urge our kids that sorry, urge our kids to use these language in functional setup so that they don't have to phrase whenever they want to say something because they do not know what that means. Yeah. Okay. Now let us continue. Mhm. We have grammar drilling can create a fear of getting it wrong. We have always talked about this that if parents you keep on drilling your kids like do this, do this, do this, yeah, it will make them, maybe hibernate, go into that period of the silence phase, you know, and it will create fear in them where they each time they do it, well, they think to themselves, what if I get it wrong? What if this is not what it's supposed to be? You know? So constant correction during drill can make, kids become very anxious about experimenting with the language because of course that fear. And the experimentation is exactly what is functional when it comes to fluency of a language. So let us not, drill them that hard, for knowing for them to know these vocabularies because to be honest it is going to make them have the fear of getting it wrong because they know mama or papa wants me to get it right every time. Uh-huh. For example, a child, is actually hesitant to try a new sentence structure because they are worried about being corrected, the mid drill, even though experimenting is how, fluency actually grows. So, parents, I'll urge you to let's let's commit to learning to letting mistakes slide more often during practice this week so that at least we can remove this fear in them of making a mistake. So who is in for this? Uh-huh. Now we have come to the end of our live stream today. And but before that, I'd like to add and say that the functional fluency tends to stick longer. Uh-huh. The functional fluency tends to stick longer, and knowledge often fades. Now here, you know, is encouraging the long-term truth where kids who build real usable language early tend to retain and keep expanding it naturally even the years while actually purely memorizing actually while pure memorized facts without real use they often fade away. So apart from them learning these vocabularies, encourage functional use because this is where fluency grows. Okay, so parents or educators who are watching this live stream today, here is what I want us to take home today. That knowledge and skills are two different things. And skill and are two different things. And skills that is a real goal. And skill is the real goal that we want our kids to have. Okay? So a child who can get their needs met, tell a story, or win an argument with a sibling in Swahili is further along than any worksheet could show. Yeah? So let's keep giving our kids, real moments to use language, not just facts to recite about it. Yeah. So if this discussion actually shifted how you think about progress, book a free trial with us this week, and we are going to help you build, real functional use of language, not just recitation. Okay. And again, do not forget uh scanning through the QR code so that you can be in a position of getting our Tayari app. Thank you for watching and asanteni. kwa kunisikiliza leo. Kwaheri.
Ah.